Hey, this is Larry Osborne here, and we're continuing our look at this thing called young eagles, how we find them, develop them, and release them. I've already talked a little bit about the need to have a platform that goes along with their giftedness, but I also want to talk about the importance of putting new wine in new wineskins. And here's what I mean. If you take your young eagles or your young eagle in your ministry and you put them in an environment that screams out yesterday, you are going to always be hamstringing what they are able to do. Over the years, one of the things that I hear over and over again about North Coast Church from people who visit, they're surprised usually at two things. Number one, the number of men that we have here, and then the second is the demographic, how young it is here at North Coast Church. And one of the keys to keeping that as a reality over the decades has been to make sure that it's our young eagles who are able to determine the wineskin that we're going to put our new wine in. And something as simple as branding is a good example of that. The move from being cool to cheesy kind of happens overnight. I came to North Coast Church as a 28-year-old pastor. I kind of understood a younger generation and what was cool and what was hip. And I want to tell you, I was the last one, like always happens, to understand when I was no longer cool and hip and I was now cheesy. But I had learned some things watching some other ministries and some situations that I was in where they were using me as a young eagle, but not listening to me about the environment and how we ought to create the ambience of how we do ministry. So here's a real practical thing. If you've got a young eagle with leadership gifts, let them speak not only into what they are doing, but let them speak into your church. What it looks like, what it sounds like, what its branding is like. Because the person who determines the decor is often the person who determines who's going to come. And young eagles need to not only do ministry, but they need to draw other young eagles, young families, and young people to their church. Don't just use them as a function. Use them as a leader.